Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with peak performance coach and life strategist Jessie Torres. For the last 18 years, Jessie has coached thousands of high-performance people from all walks of life and various parts of the world that have achieved success and the highest level of fulfillment. Out of the top 120 coaches on the planet, Jessie ranks either number one or top three in every measurable category while working with the top coaching company in the world. She is fueled by a passionate love for humanity and a burning desire to end suffering. She is driven to discover the truth of the client's deepest potential and unlock the limitless opportunities that leave others in the dark ages. Enjoy this interview.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. I am happy to connect, get to know you, and see how we can support each other.
Yeah, well, I just want to kind of dive into what you do as a peak performance coach and life strategist and kind of get to what motivates you and just kind of some questions that will let everybody get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, as a peak performance coach, my outcome in this lifetime is to help people out of suffering, how to show them a different path, to understand that their pain does not have to define them in a negative way, that their trauma could be the biggest triumph of their life, and how they can alchemize everything that's happened to them to build a superpower that has them live the life of their dreams. I'm very passionate about it. I've been working as a peak performance coach since 2007. I started with Coaches Training Institute and then eventually went to Tony Robbins and worked for him for 7 years, and then a marketing company helping business owners get their message out to the world. And now I'm committed to helping people heal their trauma with Fierce Grace, which is my company.
Living the past 3 years with COVID has been quite a thing, and I'm wondering how you survived that time period with, having all of the dealings with clients that you have, and how it's changed the way that you kind of do business now that we're kind of emerging and the world's waking up a little bit now.
So during COVID, I think that the challenge was people's mindset. There was a lot of density in the air. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot going on that caused people to get seduced and want to recluse. And so what was potent, though, about being in the coaching experience during that time was really helping people connect to their most powerful self, right? Even in the state of chaos, there is always light. And so how do we find those pieces of light? How do we see where there is an opportunity to, find the good, right? So we always ask ourselves questions when things happen. Oh my God, why is this happening? Or this is terrible. Or our focus can get so seduced into the heaviness and the weight of the world. But there's also beauty. There's also another side of the story. And if we don't seek it, we only see the heaviness. So in the coaching compartment for me, it was a bigger opportunity to be in people's world, to help them be witness to a different story so that they can survive, so that they can keep going, so that they can not just hang their cleats up and say, well, it's over, the world is ending. Just like, yes, there's a lot of density, but there's a lot of good. And I love Mr. Rogers. He has a great a thing he did for the children when 9/11 hit. When 9/11 hit, all the parents were watching the news, 24/7. Those planes hitting the Twin Towers over and over and over again. The children were scared. So he gets down on their level and he tells them, whenever there is chaos, there is always helpers. Look for the helpers. And when you think about that analogy in the context of massive chaos, there's firefighters running into the fire. There's people holding, another person's hand who doesn't even know them, but is there just to hold space for them while they're hurt, and there's a lot of beauty in that darkness. And so how do we see something as gigantic as COVID, where there was a lot of fear infiltrated, and still come back to our sovereignty, our strength, and our power in that all is in divine order and God's got our back?
So when you were a child, what was your dream when you grew up? What did you want to become?
Oh my gosh, I did not actually think about it that way. I think a lot of my childhood was survival. So for me, it was just get a job and not be in scarcity like my parents. That was pretty much it. I think I thought about being a teacher, and because I always wanted to work with children. But it was basically just, work, grind, do what you have to do so that you're never in this space where you're constantly having to go to thrift shops, just to get some shoes.
So the one thing that you've kind of illuminated on a little bit, and I've read in your biography too, is your past and survival. But what were some of the seeds, the other seeds that were planted in you that have become somebody that wants to help other people, that wants to help people strive to be better in this lifetime?
I think it's been a lifetime of my own, honestly, my own mutilation, my own beat up, the way I looked at myself and how I saw myself was something to be ashamed of, just given my past and child abuse and in my marriage. I was just, nobody would ever love me. And I was so brutal to myself that coming out on the other side and really seeing my journey, not from someone who was a victim, but someone who got back up, and falling in love with her instead of shaming her and beating her up because she wasn't blank. You know what I mean? And so in that process, just starting to be witness to the human spirit in the context of the pain, in the context of the abuse. Like, there's a little girl that got back up. There's a little girl that still was kind to, her friend in school, a little girl that had a desire to never, ever, ever allow somebody to self-mutilate like I did. Like, if I can find a way out to stop beating myself up because it was killing me in every way possible, then my purpose is to help others not do that. They don't have to live in suffering. They don't have to define who they get to be in this lifetime because of what happened to them. They can do it from the context of it happened and there's another story. There's a beautiful champion in the arena of your life. And if you can be witness to that, you can fall in love with that part of you so that you can accomplish whatever you want in your life.
So who's been a hero for you in your life?
A hero. That's a big word. I really, honestly, right now what comes to mind is Jesus Christ. That, to me, I see Mother Teresa, kindness. Wherever there is genuine generosity and kindness and giving and service, to me, that is something. Princess Di. When I feel the essence of a human being who is so loving and so giving, that to me is a hero. It's not about a financial status. It's more of a giving, compassionate, loving heart.
So if you can meet anybody alive on the planet right now and talk to them, who would it be? Who would you love to meet?
Who would I love to meet? Alive or dead, or either?
Either.
I would love to talk to Jesus. I would love to have that conversation. I would love to be able to just be in the presence of someone that was so caring and so giving and so committed. Another one that comes to mind is Joan of Arc. When I think about her conviction, I love speaking to people that defied the odds, that because of a passion in their spirit and in their heart, they made a difference in the world. So that would be my choice.
So, every day you wake up, you have this drive to do things, to get through your day. What's your motivation? What drives you to be the best you can be every day?
That's a great question. Human beings in suffering. And, I'm a human too. So when I go through things or challenges, I just had another major loss. It throws a wrench in your life. And the minute that you start to connect to your purpose and it's so big and it's so grand, and that imposter wants to come in and say, who are you to think that you're going to be this big or make this difference? And inevitably somebody calls who's in desperate need of help, and I help. And when I do, I'm lit up and I'm on fire, and I'm like, that's why. And in that moment, I remember saying, thank you, God, for sending this person to remind me of why I get up every morning and why I do what I do, because there are people hurting, there are people suffering, and if I can help one human being, then I've lived my purpose.
So when you get to the end of that proverbial day, how do you look back and quantify and say that was a good day?
When I made somebody smile, when somebody walked away better. That's my outcome always in all that I do, is that when someone connects with me, they walk away better.
What's been one of the best client responses you've ever gotten, fan letters, so to speak, that you always remember?
Well, there's a few fun ones. One that stands out right in this moment was when, and it made me cry when I was reading it. She was really having a hard time, and she was also trying to, be a coach and help people. And we had gone through different, things for her to do to get into an empowered state and to really fall in love with herself. And she was having all these challenges. And she did one of her group calls, and she had all these people on her call, and she was speaking to them, and they were giving her accolades. And she sends me this message, and she's telling me this whole story. She goes, and they were all praising me. And she goes, I realized in that moment that I was there, Jessie. I was there, Jessie. And to me, I was just like, oh my God, like that was just such a huge compliment to me to be seen that way, and that she felt that I had that much impact in her life that now she gets to pay it forward to her people, and they see her as she sees me. And so it was just very, very touching and humbling in that moment to just like feel that somebody would even think to say such a thing, let alone see me that way.
So with all of the things that you've overcome in your life, I'm curious, if you have a dream tonight, you run into your 20-year-old version, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom that you've gained, the choices that you've made, what would you tell your young version?
Oh, that's such a great question. It brings up emotion in me. That's interesting. I would tell her to keep going, and you're doing a great job. I think I was so hard on myself, and I never got to be witness to my hindsight, right? We don't get that hindsight. And back when I was 20, I felt so, lost. I don't think I even had an identity. And so I would say, yeah, keep going. You're doing a great job. Like, you're doing good in the world. And for her to be witness to that and to be able to see herself as doing something good, because she always felt like she was not worth anything, just clean the house, take care of the kids.
So everyone out there has this perception or an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, clients, but ultimately you live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I'm someone who is driven by the human spirit. I think I'm someone who sees through the lenses of love. I'm someone who is not a quitter. She's just, if I look at my journey, I'm like, there are times, and there was a moment in time where I never would have considered myself strong. I always saw myself as weak. And because I took the abuse, and now I see my strength. I see what I have had to overcome, and how, whether it was for my kids or in my state of survival, whatever the reason, there was this woman that was not willing to give up. And now I live my life through loving humanity and wanting to serve, and I'm so passionate about it. I'm also a woman that is, connected to God, universe, source. I'm not governed by religion. I'm just connected to a greater being that's telling my heart to beat, and that to me is fueling and enriching, and it gives me purpose to wake up every day so that I can help people feel that connection to their highest version of themselves.
That's wonderful. So, Jessie, if anybody out there wants to learn more about you, your services, anything involving your world, where's the best place on the web for them to go? They
can go to unshakablelife.com. And in there, they'll see my website, and there's also an opportunity to attend a master class where they can get an idea of, what it looks like to work with me. And I do want to say that if there is an opportunity that somebody is really, really, really ready to heal, really, really ready to redefine their story and be vulnerable and be open, then I would love to connect with you. If that's not you and you feel like there's still, you still don't want to let go of that story, then it might not be the right time for you, because I can only work with people that are ready. But that would be a great place to reach out to me.
Wonderful. This has been wonderful. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for taking time out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to be on your show.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, music, and more from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. You can also find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.